It's been a good year for brambles, and I've got a lot in the garden here ready to pick. And what I thought I'd do is I'll make some bramble jam. Normally it's made into bramble jelly, but it's such a faff about with that jelly bag in it. It's dripping for days on end. Or it's mixed with apples. But I've got a recipe which just uses brambles, and I'll give it a go and see what it's like. Anyway, I'll go and pick these brambles now. This is a thornless variety, which produces well, but they're just that little bit tart. But I suspect will make good jam. And this one has thorns that are savages, but it's a good producer, and they're nice and sweet. I know some of them are a bit overripe now, but they'll be alright in jam. Well, we've got 5 pounds of fruit in there, and I'm going to add half a pint of water to that. The amount of water you add depends on how ripe the fruit are. These tend to be a little bit overripe, quite soft, so I don't want quite as much water in there. And then to release the pectin I need the juice of a couple of lemons just to add the pectin. So I've got a couple of lemons there, and I'll just squeeze the juice into there just to increase the pectin level, because brambles, like most soft fruits, don't have sufficient pectin for a decent set, which something we'll come to later. So I simply use a lemon squeezer for this. If you just squeeze them into the brambles by hand, you end up with all the pips, which you don't want. So by doing it this way and then just straining the liquid, you get rid of all the pips and other bits and bobs, and only the juice goes in. So I just strain that, take all the pips and bits and pieces out. Just use a tea strainer, there's nothing complicated about it. So I just need to very gently bring this to the boil. Soft fruit, like brambles and raspberries, I tend not to wash them. They tend to go quite soggy. So I just go through them very carefully and just before I start, and pull out any bits of grass or any other inadvertent things that are in there, the odd maggot you might see, the odd dead insect that you've missed. But inevitably when you start this you see something that you've missed. A bit of grass seed there, never mind. So while this is diddling away, I'll get the jars ready. For 5 pounds of fruit, I reckon I'm getting 10 pounds of jam. So I need 10 of these 1 pound jars, or whatever jars I've got in the garage, which I've saved. And I just put them on the oven tray, and to sterilise them, I put them in the oven at about 110, 120 Celsius. About there. I just leave them in the oven until I need them. Maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, maybe more even. Now for the set, which is an essential part of this. I just take a couple of small white plates and I put them in the freezer. If you haven't got a freezer, just stick them in the coldest part of your fridge. So I'll do that now, because I need them later. Well, the fruit is simmering now, and I want to break the fruit down, so I just have a pulp. So I just, to help that process, I just squeeze the fruit up against the side of the pan. So I simmer it until the fruit is completely broken down. Whips with brambles, shouldn't take too long. So it's just about ready now. You just have to be patient. You start rushing the job, then you end up with something you don't want. So I need to know how much of this mix I've got, because for every pint of this mix, this pulp, I need a pound of sugar. So I've got 4 3/4 pints of this mix, this pulp, and therefore I need 4 3/4 pounds of sugar to add to it. And I've cleaned the jam pan out, got rid of the sort of scum on the side, so I'll start with the clean jam pan for this next bit. So there's 4 pounds 12 ounces of sugar in this bowl, and I add it a little bit at a time. I don't want to tip it all in, otherwise the chances are that some of it will burn on the bottom. So I'll just add it a little bit at a time until it's all dissolved. So a gentle simmer, just add the sugar, stirring it each little batch to make sure it's dissolved. Get rid of that grittiness in the bottom. That seems all right. Just add a little bit more. And just keep doing that till it's all in and all dissolved. Yeah, don't get impatient with it. Just take your time over it. You don't want to spoil it at this stage. I mean, you've gone to all that trouble of fighting your way through thorns to get bramble. I mean, all that grittiness seems to have gone, so the sugar is dissolved. But just check around the edges. There is a big lump of it lying there somewhere. So I'll just increase the heat now, because I want to bring it up to quite a fast boil. Oh, doesn't that look lovely? And I'm sure it will taste as nice as it looks. Again, you just have to be patient, but stir it all the time. You don't want it burning on the bottom, so I just gently stir it while it's coming to this fast boil. So we've got a rolling boil, and just to help the set I'm going to add some pectin. So for this amount I just put a full bottle in. That stuff there. At this time of year it's available in fact in some supermarkets. And I bring it back up to a rolling boil, just stir that in. Bring it back up to a rolling boil and boil it for exactly 1 minute. 2 minutes, it's not right. Exactly 1 minute. Then I lift it off the heat. I'm just waiting for it to come back up onto a rolling boil. Stop stirring it at this point. Just wait till everything is moving. Smells wonderful. So I've got a good rolling boil on there, and I time it for exactly 1 minute. And then I'll lift it off the heat. This is the crucial bit. Will it set? So I take one of the plates from the freezer and I should drop on some of this juice. That'll do. I just leave it to cool. And what I'm looking for is if I push that with my finger, does it crinkle up? If it doesn't, and this isn't, then the jam won't set. So I've got to continue with the boil. And again, it's a patience game. So I'll boil it for another minute, and I keep doing that until I get a set. If you think, well, I'll just do it for 5 minutes, if you go past the point at which it will set, you just end up with an awful goo. Like. So if I push this with my fingers, you'll see there's a skin forms in front of the finger, which means the jam has reached a set point. So it's ready to bottle, or to put into jars. So I've got the jars out of the oven there. They're quite hot. Don't put it in cold jars, it makes it crack. Ideally what you need is one of these. It saves an awful lot of mess. And you just fill them up to this bit here, and it leaves that much space in the top of the jar, which is what you want. So I'll take the jam now and I'll start filling these jars. Before I bottle it, I leave the the hot mix to cool down for about 15 minutes. If you don't do that, then you tend to find all the fruit floats up to the top, which you don't want. You always end up with a little bit left, so I always have just a small jar. Just tip what remains in there, and I just use that immediately. And you need to screw the tops on straight away. Screw them tight. You want that vacuum inside when the jam cools down, which protects it from fungus. So there it is, £9 of Bramble Jam for not much effort. Huh. Very, very cheap and easy to do. Well, that's the jam. Try it on a piece of bread. Well, it looks very nice.